We can't see you, we can't hear you, but it's important that you hear this. We've seen the logical outcome of this battle you face. Nobody wins. Nobody. Very little on the second economy gets reported, but every day, a shift in control. Every day, a ransom or theft or damage. Those responsible are lured by profit, principle, or province of a new domain. The scale and frequency of attacks are expanding exponentially. If you have anything resembling value, proprietary data, control of energy, distribution, process, control of anything, then one thing is certain. Adversaries are trying to get their hands on it, to take control, right now. In the second economy, borders are intangible. Kings of new dominions hide behind anonymous avatars. Currency and value are measured in information and access. Time is nonlinear. A rogue packet appears benign, lies dormant for months, years, but activated, initiates a chain of reactions in milliseconds, disrupts your business, destroys reputations. You lose far more than data. You lose trust. This is the single biggest threat to your world, to our world. It's not what you see online, on social media, or on cable news. It's what you don't see right now in the second economy. Left unchecked, it ruins more than your organization. It damages society. We can't let this happen. There is a solution. You need to listen to what comes next. You have to decide, are you a 1 or a 0? A yes or a no. Do we stand together or apart? It really is that binary.
Hi. So the idea of this talk is to kind of have a comparison between black hat and white hat. So sometimes I think there tends to be a kind of disconnect between the black hat way of thinking and the white hat way of thinking, even though it's kind of the same umbrella of hacking. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about my experiences as a black hat, 2011, when I was about 15, 16, in a hacking group that many of you will have probably heard of, Zalsec, which was an offshoot of Anonymous.
My name is Sebastian. I'm working as a principal auditor at Cognosec, located in Vienna, mainly busy with running penetration tests and application security tests. Well, a couple of personal projects, home automation, drone racing, security research when I have time. Just a few words about Cognosec. You might not know the company. We're IT security solutions and services provider. We are specialized in penetration testing and application security. We implement holistic solutions, and we are also providing PCI DSS services.
So a little bit of background about me and how I kind of got into cybersecurity and hacking. When I was about 6 or 7, my dad bought me my first computer, which was this really old Dell Optiplex, I think, with Windows 98 on it. And on the computer was a piece of software installed called Microsoft Front Page. And for those of you that remember, Microsoft Front Page is this really old, discontinued piece of software that used to come by default with all Microsoft Office packages. That basically was a what you see is what you get HTML editor that allows you to create websites. And this was kind of how I first got involved with coding and programming in general. And I would make websites when I was about 8 or 9 and publish them on GeoCities back when that was a thing. And then through that, I kind of learned more advanced coding and programming, like PHP, Python, etc. And my first kind of experience of an actual hack or hacking was, I think, when I was about maybe 11 or 12. And I was doing my maths homework at home. And I didn't have a calculator with me, because I needed a calculator to do my homework. So I just searched online for an online calculator, and I found this really poorly designed online calculator on the University of Maryland website, hosted as some Perl script by some professor. And it was basically an input box where you can type in sums, and it would give you the result. Now, having some programming knowledge at the time, I kind of thought, what if this program? Well, this calculator could potentially have some vulnerabilities, because for those of you that are familiar with programming, the most obvious way that you might create a calculator, and the most vulnerable way is just simply to use the evaluate function, which basically takes in a piece of code and executes it and gives you the result. So this really naive mathematics professor had created this online calculator with the input box where you can just type in sums and it would give you the result, but he also didn't know that you can also type in code into the calculator. So through that, I was able to hack this university website through a vulnerable calculator, which to me was kind of really funny at the time. So I kind of emailed the professor, and he tried to fix the vulnerability. And that was kind of my first experience with cybersecurity and hacking. When I got a little bit older, when I was about maybe 15, 16, I was hanging around on online chat rooms, IRC networks, and I kind of made friends with various people, programmers and hackers. And I got involved with this group called Anonymous, which was kind of doing these online protests against people who attacked WikiLeaks or threatened freedom of information. And through that, I co-founded a hacking group called LulzSec, which was an offshoot of Anonymous, with 5 other people that I had met and trusted. And LulzSec was like this really short-lived thing that lasted for 50 days that made a lot more headlines than we kind of expected. And the idea of LulzSec was kind of, well, we thought that we saw a lot of vulnerabilities in a lot of high-profile websites, but in most cases, when we actually report these vulnerabilities, most of the companies didn't really seem to care or pay attention. So the idea of LulzSec was kind of just to expose how security is poor on the internet. Because throughout the past few decades, the information security community has kind of always warned companies about how many low-hanging fruits there are in their software, but they would never kind of listen about it. It was kind of the elephant in the room.